Hi, it's Andy XL back with part three of my week nine preview as the latest NFXL podcast. And we'll start off looking at the late Sunday window and the New Orleans Saints at Los Angeles Rams. The bottom of the NFC Saints have nothing to play for apart from future employment and draft position. But this is a must win for the Rams if they are to bolster their NFC West title hopes. Now, the Rams have a good defense across the board, but lean massively on the passing game on offense, and that will likely be their MO as they seek to take care of a poor Saints team here. The Saints hand the reins to Tyler Shugg for the rest of the season at quarterback, and can he improve an offense that ranks 28th for both the pass and the rush? He has the receivers to allow him to do so, and Rashid Shaheed has been cleared to play for this game, which is good news for them. But surely they have to make more use of Alvin Kamara too. Kamara had a solid 256 yards on the ground in the Saints' first four games of the season, but has just 107 yards in his last four games, and his rush attempts have dropped by nearly half, from 65 to 35 in those groups of games. If the Saints are to have any hope of competing with the Rams, they have to run the ball more to keep Matt Stafford and his talented receivers off the field for as long as possible. But against the Rams D that has allowed the second lowest number of fantasy points to opposing running backs, it's going to be tough to do, but they have to try and do it. So the Rams, I think all of this points to the Rams winning this comfortably to continue their progress towards the postseason and a possible NFC West title. Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nakua are the unsurprising fantasy picks, but Kyron Williams may be another worth considering here, as I see the Rams running out easy winners here, 31 to 17. Right. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders can surely not make the postseason from here. They and the Jags come off a bye week, and the faltering Jags must get back to winning ways to stay in an AFC wildcard spot. Jacksonville have managed just 19 points across their last two games. So certainly Trevor Lawrence and co have plenty to prove on their return to action against the Raiders D that is mid-ranked in the league. And now they've lost Travis Hunter and they're going to be without Tim Patrick for this game too. But the loss of Hunter to injury, that's going to make this tougher. Good news for the Jags is that their greatest strength is run defense, so that may help them against Aston Gionti and the Raiders. The Raiders D has conceded 30 points or more three times this season, and in all three of those games struggled to contain the running backs of Washington, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. With an offense that has struggled all season, they cannot afford that to happen here. Another key in this game is Geno Smith and his league-leading 10 picks thrown against the Jags' pass defense that is second in the league with 10 picks of their own. So Smith has to avoid those picks. For the Raiders to win this game, Smith has to, like I say, avoid the errors, and Ashton Jonte will need to get going against the Jags' run D. For the Jags, Travis Etienne and Basil Tootin need to step up, and Trevor Lawrence likely just needs to be efficient here for them to get the win they need. The Jags D could get a pick or two here, so it could be worth a go in fantasy, but no other standout picks fantasy-wise for me in this game. But my instinct is telling me the young talent on the Raiders' offense, including the returning Brock Bowers, allow them to outscore the Jags here. So I'm going to go for an upset win. The Las Vegas Raiders take down the Jags by 24 to 20. Now then, on to what is probably game of the week. Kansas City Chiefs at Buffalo Bills. Two of the conference powerhouses arrive at week 9 in unfamiliar chasing positions in their divisions, and in the Chiefs' case, in the AFC wildcard race too. A loss of a loss for either would see them potentially lose further ground, whereas the winner will come out of week 9 full of confidence heading into the second half of the season. The Chiefs are now top 10 ranked for pass and offense, rush defense, and 12th for pass defense, and right now join the Colts as the form team in the league. The Bills have some great strength areas, ranking first in the league for rush offense, powered by James Cook and Josh Allen, and second in the league for pass defense, but have a serious weakness against the run, where they rank a lowly 30th in the league, and their defensive line's not that healthy for this game either. Both teams have elite quarterbacks who can succeed in the passing game against any team, but this could come down to how well the Chiefs manage to limit the Bills on the ground and what their own ground game can do against the Bills' weakness in that area. As I say, with the interior of the Bills' D-line being severely depleted for this game, the Chiefs could well be the latest team to rack up the yards against the Bills. But can they do what only the Panthers last week and the Jets in week 2 failed to do against the Bills and get their running backs in the end zone? The answer is probably no. And with KC having only allowed 4 touchdowns themselves to opposing running backs, James Cook is not likely to follow up on his huge performance against the Panthers here. They have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks, though, so Allen may be as likely as Cook to score on the ground in this game. Both teams have been tough opposition for opposing quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends, which reinforces the importance of the ground attacks in this game. And with the Bills having allowed 9 rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs and 1 to opposing quarterbacks, this gives the Chiefs the edge in a game they need to win. Fantasy-wise, I will still give James Cook a good chance of a decent game here. He scored 4 times in the 2 games against the Chiefs last season, and Kareem Hunt still looks the most likely running back to succeed for the Chiefs, especially with Isaiah Pacheco out for this game. As I say, I will take the Chiefs to continue their relentless march back from early season oblivion with a win here that will be cheered loudly in New England. So the Chiefs to win by 27-24. Seems like keep lubricating. Right, 2 games to go. Keep going. Seattle Seahawks at Washington Commanders. Prior to the start of the season, one of these teams would have been expected to make the postseason. The other would merely have hoped to do so. But the Commanders and Seahawks have swapped expectancies after week 8 or after the first 8 weeks of the season. As the Seahawks are a team likely to go beyond week 18, whereas the Commanders' season hopes may have a limited shelf life. With the Seahawks being the best in the league in terms of allowing both rush yardage and touchdowns, the Commanders' route to redemption in this game must be through the air, where the Seahawks are mid-ranked. The Commanders ranked higher for ground offense than pass, but that has been distorted by injuries to quarterback Jaden Daniels and running back wide receiver Terry McLaurin, and to a lesser extent Deebo Samuel in terms of his injuries. Daniels and Samuel are good to go for week 9, but McLaurin will not play against Seattle. Offensively, the Seahawks are balanced, being decent for both pass and rush, although very dependent on Jackson Smith and Jigba in the passing game, and that's going to be even more so in this game because it looks like Cooper Kupp's out. And with the Commanders being subpar for both pass and rush defense, the Seahawks should not have trouble scoring in this game. So can Daniels spark the Commanders' offense enough for them to win this game they badly need or must have really? Daniels is basically two and 3 for the season in games he has played, and has a season high of 233 passing yards. So it seems unlikely he will go big in the passing game against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks have allowed opposing quarterbacks to do little against them on the ground either. So all of that's good news for the Seattle fans. So this has the look of a game where the Commanders, without McLaurin, struggled to match the offensive power of the Seahawks. So I'd say, fantasy-wise, Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba, AJ Barner and Zach Charbonnet for Seattle, and Deebo Samuel for Washington could be the guys to consider. But I'll take the Seahawks to win this by 27-23. And then finally on Monday Night Football, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys. 2 teams in dire need of a win here. A loss for the Cardinals will confirm what is probably a given already, that they are not going beyond week 18. A loss for the Cowboys would pretty much eliminate them. The Cowboys' offense has done well this season, but has had to be that good, as the Cowboys' defense was really bad before the secondary all got hurt, and now it's atrocious, especially against the pass. The Cardinals have an average defense, but are below par offensively, and that has not changed significantly as a result of Jacoby Brissett standing in for Kyler Murray, at quarterback. With Murray at quarterback, they were 2-3, and he has a season high of 220 yards passing. Brissett gets the start for this one against the perfect opponent to face in the Cowboys. Dallas has allowed opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers to score more points than any other team, and are the third easiest for opposing running backs to face. They have been tougher on opposing tight ends, though, where the Cardinals are easier to succeed against. So Brissett, Ben Knight, and Marvin Harrison Jr. should enjoy themselves this week, and it is difficult to see the Cardinals shutting down the Cowboys' offense either. So Javonte Williams, C.D. Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson could all help Dak Prescott to have another big game. So all of this says stand by for another wild ride with the Cowboys here. But with the Cowboys not possessing a pass rush that is likely to put Brissett under much pressure, and the depleted secondary being so easy to get at, I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this shootout, but just 34-31, the thriller. So let's have a brief look at the four teams that are on bye this week. The Philadelphia Eagles, well, they'll sit at home hoping for losses for the Packers, Lions, Rams, and Seahawks to improve their NFC top seeding chances. Tampa Bay Bucks, pretty much the same as the Eagles, although losses for the Falcons and Panthers would be nice too in terms of getting an even tighter grip on the NFC South title. And then the Cleveland Browns and New York Jets. Well, rest easy, Browns and Jets fans. Nothing bad can happen this week. Well, not to you anyway. So that's week 9 previewed, all done and dusted. Enjoy the action, and I'll come back and do me a good week, bad week as usual, following this week's action. See you soon.